You good? Yeah. All right, 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. First order of business will be the pledge to the flag, and I just want to remind everybody, if we're talking, no talking in the audience. And then announce yourself if you would. Thank you. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Short from that.
Yeah, that's it. I had to dig into the repertoire to find something. Okay, I guess we'll dive right into it. The public hearing on July 20th, 2026 referendum question: shall the town vote to authorize the select board to accept the donation of real estate property located on 20 Depot Street in Norridgewock?
This is a public hearing that replaces the conversation and or debate that would typically happen on the floor of town meeting, and is a measure that's to be considered by secret ballot. So that is the purpose of this hearing. We will take your questions, we will take your comments. The chair will not entertain back and forth amongst yourselves. And we will do the best that we can to get through this. If there's a lot of issues, that we stop the public hearing and we keep moving, but
I can't imagine it.
no.
Pretty good group here.
Good.
So with that, we'll dive right in. We'll open it right up for any person from the public that would like to speak or has a question in regards to it. Please, just say who you are and.
I'm Dana Perry and I live on Tablet Hill Road. Can you explain how that process, how this whole process would work? I know it was in the paper, but I'd like to hear from you folks as to how this would work, what the proposal is for main drains, and how is this all gonna look in the big picture?
Yeah, I'll let Richard.
I'll kick it off. So the building is vacant and the town applied for congressionally directed spending money from the federal government in the last cycle. It was $8 million was the ask, and that was going to be paired with local and private investment to make this all happen. The town didn't own the property, and that was the major obstacle to receiving or being considered to receive those funds at the end. So in discussions with New Balance, they've seen the town as a potential receiver of the property. There's been private interest in it. Some of it, nothing to date has made financial sense in terms of a return on investment. So we then look to economic development and tools that if the town owns it, we're eligible for, as opposed to if it was owned privately. So with that, we were approached by Main Grains late winter of an interest in participating with this property. And as things were explored, it's kind of pivoted to, if it's going to work and work successfully, we take approximately 50,000 feet and create condo units that would be owned commercially. So if it moves through, the town owns New Balance, the town would sell the 50,000 square foot condo to Main Grains, where they will propose to stand up a manufacturing facility to make products that are a line expansion on their existing products. And Amber can speak to the nature of their proposed business there, but they've got $1 million+ investment already in equipment that they're looking to locate here and add approximately 15 jobs. So that would be in a condo style. So you HOAs type thing where you're paying every month in your common costs and general property costs, those types of shared expenses. And then the other 2/3 would be the ownership of the town, whether we were able to sell them or stay in them. One of the things that's been discussed is, do municipal operations move to part of that building where your town office operations would move? We could offer the water district. Town pays a very large portion of the water district expenses. Why not let them come in with us? We've talked about a potential location of the library. We've looked at the library project, and that started with the grand scheme of the wish list and a $4 million price tag ish. And would that be an appropriate place to locate something like that? So there's a consideration that the town would retain 1/3 of this, and then the other third would be hopefully privately invested and improved. And then going forward, then that would take care of itself there amongst the three tenants. The town is in a unique position now to guide those decisions in terms of how that property is planned out in the long term. Cost sharing, physical plan adjustments, and so that's the benefit of the town owning this property out of the gate. You've got the ability to guide and make decisions. You've got the ability to catch finances, and the ability to guide. If I didn't say that as number one, it's number 1 and 3, which I know that I did, but I think the town would be remiss if we didn't have a seat at the table to watch this property move through. I don't think they'll be manufacturing shoes anymore. So now what?
Well, what, you don't mind, I've got several, if you don't mind.
Please.
Okay. Currently, last year, they paid almost $23,000 in taxes. And New Balance, I understand, has agreed to pay the expenses for that building for between $200,000 and $300,000 for 2 years, I believe.
So the tentative agreement that we have right now is that they would pay the town's share of carrying costs for 2 years. So that would not include taxes because taxes would be forgiven.
So would the deed go to the town immediately or in 2 years?
That's, the deed would go to the town relatively immediately
Okay,
in order to catch the finances.
okay, I understand that you're going to get an appraisal. Is that a professional appraisal?
We, at this point in time, don't have plans to have the building appraised. We're looking to have the engineering evaluation of the site.
That would include what?
That includes an environmental assessment, a current layout, floor plan of the facility, 3D rendering, things like that to make it easier for breaking up physical plan, for pondering out the future, and for folks that want to retrofit the space.
Would it look at items like the roof, heating system, and all of that?
Yes,
Okay, so we get a better idea. And I understand that the town approved up to 35,000 on a $90,000 to $100,000 study.
so
Who's picking up the rest?
Main Grains, New Balance, and the town are all putting in $1 each on that proposed contract. In the town's limit, we set at 35,000 just because it was a round number. The budgetary estimate on that is as low as 90, as high as 100.
If it should take 5 years or so to develop this product. And I look at that because I look at business parks around and those kind of things. And they haven't been successful day one. They've taken a number of years to do that. So if it takes 5 years, that's over $100,000 in lost revenue. If it takes 10 years, that's $200,000 in lost revenue, which would have to be picked up by taxpayers in town. Okay. So if Main Grain buys, I understand you're gonna buy it, is that at fair market value?
I don't believe that's the board's intention. I believe it would be, it hasn't been decided, it would be probably a $1 transfer to encourage the investment. But that has not been determined at this point in time.
Well, Main Grain has been looking at expanding in 2 different places. The old Millburn and out in the business park, and it turned those down. I think it would be remiss of the town not to get some kind of, at least approaching something near fair market value for that property, because they're probably gonna take the most desirable portion of that building for Main Grains, which I would assume would include the loading dock area, and I think that's the newest portion of the building.
The current proposal is the oldest portion towards the bridge.
So it's a bridge, okay. 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 Okay, I think I satisfied my questions for you. Sorry to.
No,
It's all the questions.
one of the common themes that we hear, sir, is town should be in the real estate business. And we're not, and we don't want to be. Peter in finance today said, well, we do have the airport and we're, we own all the land and well, see how that goes. We don't want to be in that business. And our place at this table, as it's proposed, is economic development. How do we take a vacant space and put life back into it with as much public sector infusion as possible? Not to get the building from New Balance for $1 or for free. They're proposing to donate it and then turn around and try to generate money. And I understand the risk exposure that might mitigate, but I think this board's goal and the conversations that they've had is to get that space occupied by businesses preferably, and allow the market to take its course. So we have very little holding.
One more, just you mentioned condos, is that in the main Greens portion of it? Or is that in a different area?
Condo style, structure in that not living condos, but condos are structured where you have your common building and common hallways.
Yep.
And everybody pays their common fees and everything. Very similar to that, where we would have 3 commercial condo units. And they would be parts of a building that were shared, whether it's a lift or a main entrance, things like that. Then you've got your total property, who's gonna pay for the plowing, what share of that, and that would all be managed through this condo style arrangement that would govern the property.
So that could be office space or whatever, right?
Correct.
Okay.
If housing came into one of those units, well, that would be a subset of that, but that portion of the building would still be responsible for whatever the initial agreement sets forth.
Thank you.
Good question. Just real, Amber, do you have something you just wanna?
No, you're first.
My name is Amber. I'll just address a couple more of your questions. Thank you, Richard, for covering those. I'm the founder and CEO of Main Grains, and just to reiterate a couple reasons why we're looking at this building. We have been planning for this growth for a lot of years, and it is a diversification of our product line with a new piece of machinery. Yeah. That took a year to build over in Germany, and we used that time to evaluate buildings to put it in. In our town in Skowhegan, Skowhegan Economic Development Corporation purchased the old AVI in our town because it was falling down and it did have asbestos issues. So the town dealt with that and raised the building, abated the asbestos, and it sat for 2 years. And we eventually came to an agreement with Skowhegan Economic Development to buy that lot with the intention of building a new building. We had a lot of goals for that building, so we designed a building that could maximize the lot, could house this equipment line, could enlarge our drive-in shop, could put a demonstration kitchen, could a eating conference and other teaching and education. But the reality was that due to the comps in this area, we'd spend $7.5 million to build a building like that, and it would appraise at $2.5 million the day it's built. And so financing a project like that is just not practical. And so some of the problem solving around that is to take the light manufacturing piece of it, which doesn't need a downtown infrastructure necessarily, and put that someplace else. And then still use that vacant lot someday to build something smaller that achieves some of our other goals. So with that strategy in mind, we started looking at the industrial park up in Skowhegan. There was a building with an empty space. Where Fisher Plow had vacated, and that is owned by Skowhegan Economic Development Corporation. To lease space and then have to put $2 million worth of fit up to make it a food grade space, can't get financing because the bank doesn't see you as owning that asset, and so that's finance. So the negotiation went down the path of trying to purchase that building. There are other tenants in that building. That is a building that was 50% of it was grant funded by Skowhegan Economic Development Corporation. And to sell the building, they were proposing and talking about market rate purchases for that. And then some of the other tenants also expressed interest in making the building. The lease income from that building helps Skowhegan Economic Development subsidize other projects they're involved in, and they just decided they didn't want to sell it. So again, that opportunity ended for us right about the time that I learned about this opportunity here in Norridgewock. So I think my understanding of the history of this building is that dating back to Norridgewock Shoe, it has been passed back and forth to the town and the entities that have run successful businesses in that building for many years. And so we would very much look at this, opportunity as a, but for the opportunity to get into a piece of this building, this expansion might not happen in Central Maine. We have looked at other food processing plants that are ready to go and ready to move into in Biddeford, Portland, Southern Maine. I don't want to take our business growth beyond Central Maine. I want to be within 5-10 minutes of our central plant, because we're gonna be using raw materials, that Shannon and other employees that work for us help to produce. We'll be bringing them over here to make extruded cereals, bars, snacks, and that sort of thing. So we will be investing a couple $1 million worth of fit up to be able to make it food grade. Our intention is to pay our fair share of the taxes and the common area maintenance and whatever equipment taxes come along with that. So it's too much for this, more building than we need all of. And you know, we know that New Balance would like to get this building to its next use. I have faced the same quandary that the town of Norridgewock did around no business structure I could put together had enough municipal stake to be able to access congressionally directed funds to help with our project in Skowhegan. So I couldn't get those funds either, and that is probably why Norridgewock wasn't able to get the funds in this ask. So we think of it as this as a win-win-win, that the town has time to consider developing for your own needs. We have a section of building that meets our needs, and then there is more room to invite others who are already taking corporate space to join in putting this together. It's not without risk, and it's not without a whole lot of hard work, but none of what I've done so far in Central Maine hasn't been both of those things. And so, but we're excited about the opportunity and trying to keep this close to home.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Please, Skip.
Skip Biles, if this goes through at town meeting. And you get your condo structure set up and you get people in there, is your intention to eventually find a private person to buy this? Or do you plan on being in the rental business forever?
There's no rental component to this.
What condo?
Right, so if the town goes in to a portion of this. If that happened, it would be town office, it would be library, probably, we would have our section. I don't envision the town leasing out the other third of the building.
Okay, that's not what I was trying to get at, but what I'm trying to get at is the town, say 5 years down the road, selling their ownership of the building to a private investor and get out of the condo business, because it's a lot of work for you to be in that business. It puts quite a burden on you as town manager to take care of and administrate a condo set.
So. Condo is a term I think that aligns just closely with that mechanism of setup,
Yeah,
not becoming the landlord. In a perfect world where the town will divest 1/3 or 2/3 of
Yeah.
the building if it goes through, in addition to the third that she's taking.
As actual ownership, so
Yeah,
they'll
yeah,
own their,
yeah.
what's that?
they'll own their
Yeah.
portion, so she'll own her condo or her section, as would any
But
other.
if she decides to move, or another person, not just for somebody, I mean, I've rented condos and people walk away from that condo. I mean, so the person that owns the building, even though it's a condo, becomes financially responsible for what's left behind.
So we fully intend to ensure that the town's protected, whether that's a reversion clause or there are other things that are gonna be built into that transfer. That we're exploring to ensure that the town's interests are protected.
Because to me, it would be better if the town had a vision to eventually not own the building. Because the select board's gonna change, you might not be here. And the next group of selectmen, town managers, they might not be as on board.
think it might be worth clarifying, just when we use the term condo, what the first step that we have to do in this engineering study that's happening right now is determine the boundaries. Where are the clear delineations where our use space would end and the town's use might begin and some other use might begin? And then we would own our section and the town would own its section that it uses and then some other owner would own it.
So,
Who's gonna collect the condo fee?
right, so there isn't a condo fee, if you will,
Who's
other
gonna pay
than.
for the plow? Somebody has to
Other
collect
than
all-
those pizzas, and those will be contractual, that will be sorted through by a consultant that handles the town's interest in doing the contract piece. You can imagine this is a pretty elaborate contract.
Okay, so you're gonna contract out the administration of this complex, is what you're telling me now?
The organization of that.
Putting
future-
it together,
Yeah.
putting it together.
But
Yes.
talking 5 years down the road.
So we don't know.
Right.
To ask these questions today in the setting that it is. Happy to have them, happy to receive them, but to give you an answer that's responsible, that you can hold us to in 5 years, we can't and won't do that. And if anything's been said that gave you that perception, disregard it. It's very early. This process feels rushed because it is rushed because the transaction is time sensitive. Getting the approval to process a transaction is time sensitive. And so we know that there are things that we're not thinking of. There are things that need to be explored beyond the study.
Right.
And that's what we're moving on now. The structure, the future structure, that's just kind of conceptual, the condo. But that's how, and we use condo very loosely, but that's the style of how we see things being managed, given the size of that.
There's a whole administration that goes with it.
Understood.
Yeah.
Please, Mike.
Michael, my only question to you in all of this is, by listening to this, is that where is it a benefit to the town? If we move all our administrative office over there, library and all that stuff, then we take ownership of that. Wouldn't we be better off as a town to facilitate ownership to private business? I mean, cause what do we do with this building if we? I understand it does have merit to go there, but what do we do with this building? What do we do with a piece of property that has been discussed as we're not in the business of the real estate business? We bought a piece of property that we bought it with the intention to do something, and the little library was discussed to go there. I realize it would be more financially responsible probably to do that, but if we move over there and retain ownership in any way, I would feel like it would be better off if it was privately owned altogether instead of, because now we're locked over there. And now we can't come back over here. And what do we do with what we have? And doesn't that tie us too tight to it?
All valid, what Richard touched on, there was really just, a discussion.
I'm not opposed to all these ideas. I'm just asking where the town benefits from taking ownership of a space over there. Why not? Why is that a good thing for the town to take ownership of the space over there and not let Main Range and other entities? Where do we gain as a town to do so?
The hard part was, so like, we have struggled with town meeting, we've had some, issues, I'll say, about being in the school for our town meeting. The lack thereof, a community center, if you will, not that you would call it that over there, but the price tag with the library. I mean, you saw some of those numbers that came in, and we are quickly outgrowing this town office. Where do we go from here? We've all seen the construction numbers. So as like Main Grains is finding out, it's cheaper to work with something that's existing than it is to start from brand new. So it may be a good fit for us to consolidate and move everything over there, but it's very exploratory.
And like I said, your ideas are all good, all bad. I'm just asking, where it is it a benefit for
It
us?
would have to work, it would have to be a big benefit. We certainly wouldn't want to do that and say no to something else. So it's an option, if you will, or maybe a backup plan.
There is benefit also in the fact of having that much of a stake in deciding what does go in there. That allows us really to steer what type of economic growth and development that we have in that building, what types of business come in and the impact that those will have on our community. So by having that stake and being able to decide who we go into business with or not in that area, we can establish what that vibe is, what that's bringing in, what, you know, is it bringing in jobs? Is it bringing in more tax revenue? We have the ability to do that. So that is the benefit to the town of having that control and really being able to steer and bring in the types of things that we want to in the town as a collective. Not doing that, just having someone else there. I mean, it could be, you know, stuff that not,
It
could be low income housing, and we might not all think that's a great idea, but if we don't have control, what do we do then? So.
So it wasn't the town's involvement, it's the town's siting, our location over there, is what you were getting at. Why would the town invest? I don't think it makes sense for us to invest unless we can catch outside dollars to facilitate that.
Yeah,
But if we are in that position and we are able to, then it makes very good sense to retrofit the space for us to get rid of this, to get rid of the lot that we purchased or protect it or do whatever you want, they give it to the school. Look at all of that, but when you look at the opportunities that one small section of this building possesses for the town's long-term plan list, it hits a lot of those things. And as we've done site visits, we've looked at, okay, well, we talked about a gymnasium or a place where people can go and work out. This site has that potential. It checks a lot of those boxes, and I think if with that outside funding and the nature of that building, it's the best way we would ever achieve that many things on our list. But it requires outside funding. Naturally, it doesn't work. But this building doesn't work naturally, it's gonna require outside money.
And, you know, a lot of thought, a lot of planning, and even a little risk.
So,
Please.
at the beginning, when you gave us the overall idea, you mentioned, I think, $8 million of federal grant. If the town owned that, that might become possible. Is there any insurance that could happen, or is it a negative?
so it's a maybe, and I'll speak candidly, we had a very attractive application for the repurpose of this building for proposed uses. The proposed use in the application was Main Grains, the town, and another investor. It had a lot of traction, had a lot of public support, it had a lot of support from the senior senator's office from the state of Maine, who happens to be the chair of the appropriations committee. Just happens, and that provides us with unusual opportunities for access to funds like that. We'll know in 6 months what the likelihood of us getting congressionally directed spending funds would be. That is a big play in this for the town, but if we don't have the option to, in order to be considered for something like that, we have to own this building. The door's closed.
If we own it and we're able to secure that grant, would the town then consider giving part of that grant money, making it available to Main Grain?
So I don't think that we could, but what we do with that money is we pay for things on the site.
Yes.
That would normally be common area, we could make improvements to the parking lot or the roof, things like that. That are of mutual benefit, that take costs away, that makes the break even point a little bit better.
But you couldn't do it to a private individual or private company.
I don't believe so.
Thank you.
Skip, please.
Is Main Grain got any interest
So-
in taking the building?
So try to direct it here.
I'm sorry.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Are you saying taking the entire building?
Taking the entire building and then they could lease out the other 2/3.
I'll have to answer to the board if you would like.
Sure, I have two answers to that question. One is it's far more building than we need. And the second is, as a C Corp, I am not eligible to apply for the kinds of funds that the municipality would be eligible for. So it makes a lot of sense in terms of redevelopment, attraction of redevelopment dollars for the municipality to be in the lead to attract those dollars.
So basically, you're saying you don't have an interest to become a landlord and rent the other 2/3 out?
I am a landlord.
I know.
It's hard, it's hard, it's hard.
I'm trying to go down.
I think it's a bit more than anyone could bite off, and without the additional funding, it's really hard for anyone to do this. Private or public, so it's really both of us coming together to make this work, with help of many more people.
Overall, I think it's positive. Here, it's just, you guys want to.
It's a high risk, high reward situation.
Right, exactly.
And a yes vote, for it to be, accepted by the town, doesn't mean the board will say yes when it comes time. It gives us the option to say yes. There's so much to be sorted out. I mean, the study, we'll have that study for possibly 2 weeks before the vote, I believe.
Unlikely.
So possibly not even. So,
Right.
we really need the voters to have the faith in the board and our consultant. That we're gonna work out a deal that either works for the town or there's no deal at all. But without a yes vote from the town, we can't even entertain it.
Yeah.
So that's really why we're having this and why it's expedited the way it is.
Still a lot of questions.
Right here,
Yeah, I'd like to, well, I work for Main Grades, I've been working for them for almost, it's been a year or so, so. When I found out she was coming to the meeting tonight, I just had a few, just wanted to give you a little background on what it's like working for Main Grades, working for Amber, and I just had a few thoughts that I figured, could tag along with her, just maybe give you a little better idea. So for the past 9 years, Main Grades provided me with more than just a place to work. To me, it's truly felt like family. To have a boss that I can come to for just about anything makes coming to work a blessing. One of the things I appreciate is Amber makes you feel like she needs you, not you need her. That's something I've never had in a boss, and another thing I appreciate is the culture that we built together there, where people genuinely care for one another and everybody works hard towards the same shared purpose. Our core values of integrity, supporting local agriculture, and producing nutritious, high quality foods for everybody are not just words on a wall to us, they're values that we strive to live by every day. Knowing the work that we do, helps to connect more than 45 regional farmers to bakers to brewers to chefs and to institutions across the region. Gives us all a real sense of pride and purpose in what we do. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to grow in my team lead position in the East Boston department, and I'm grateful for the trust, the support, the friendship that I've built along the way. It's been rewarding to work alongside such a dedicated team and a CEO that takes pride in producing exceptional products while strengthening Maine's farming communities. I'm especially excited about Main Grades expanding into the old Norridgewock facility because I believe it will create meaningful opportunities for both our company, Main Grades, and the town and the residents. Growth like this has the potential to bring new jobs, support local businesses, attract additional investments, strengthen Norridgewock's economy. It also allows Main Grades to continue to expand our partnership with regional farmers while increasing our capacity to serve more customers without losing sight of the values that we have made, that has made this company so very successful. I also appreciate the opportunity the town of Norridgewock and New Balance provided to collaborate on this project. New Balance has always been deeply invested in our communities, supporting local initiatives and creating opportunities that benefit all, not just the folks who work for them. Their commitment to giving back and investing in our local towns makes this partnership even better. Two great companies coming together for the greater good, townspeople. And I'm excited to see what we accomplish together for everybody involved and for the future of our community.
Thank you.
That's just what I wanted to share.
No, nicely put.
Yeah, you guys, so, thank you.
That's why Boston is such a great fit. I think it really aligns with our vision here.
Yeah, no, and I
well.
think that is, when everyone goes back to what's the benefit of taking this building on, the benefit first and foremost is we have control over what happens there. Like it's a big, huge building. We don't want that to just, turn to turds there over there because everyone's gonna look at it. Secondly, to bring anything in, even for us, for our own things that we want or for other companies, we need that additional ability to get government funding that we just don't have. Her on her own, she can't do it. Us on our own, we can't make it happen. But when you kind of finagle things this way, that's the benefit to us, because then we have a little bit more control, but it gives us a lot more money and financial opportunity to explore that we wouldn't otherwise have from just private entities of business or even just town like trying to get. So it's sort of, what do you call it? Sort of blending out all of like the risk a little bit, everybody gets a little bit more. It's just not one thing here. We can, dilute it a little bit, while also everyone benefiting at the same time. I think that's where it is. And then we can make sure we got companies where people actually like working for them, and it's good businesses to have. They're gonna make the town look good, that we're gonna bring in people that they treat well, obviously, or else they wouldn't show up at 6:30 on like a Wednesday night, so, you know. That's what I like about having that ownership. We can decide, be like, yeah, no, we've heard about those businesses, we don't want those folks here, and other ones we're like, wow, seems like a great thing to add to our town, and it's gonna bring value, and we get that with this, so. That for me is the benefit, and then, just have it become like a pop factory.
Anything else for the public here?
I did have one.
Please.
Assuming that the vote goes positive on the 20th. Will there be other opportunities for the public to have input on, say, the sale of the building or other uses of the building, whether the town moves their office there or that? Will townspeople, taxpayers have some input on that?
Yeah. At any meeting that's discussed in open session, that we will commit a time for the public to speak. There will be occasions when it's gonna be an executive session for contract negotiations, but as soon as we're able to let that stuff out, it will be let out. And we'll, if we get there, we'll develop a portion of the homepage or website, with information. I don't know if do the internet or not, but we've also tried to make an effort to make hard copy materials available at the office as well.
Thank you.
To move offices would be a full vote.
Yeah, so if we were gonna move offices from centralized, it's a release of property because it doesn't make sense for us to move there and then still own this. So the townspeople would have to vote to sell this building. We can't do that without you folks.
As well as the spending over there. If we were going to library all of that, that would require a vote of the town. Yes.
Yeah, and the layers of committees and things like that. It's not an overnight move.
No.
None of this is.
Some other faces out there, anything? Yes.
I'm Robert Cusack, I'm your county commissioner for Fairfield and Norridgewock, and I actually support the plan that you have. Think that this referendum that's coming up, that gives you permission to go forward, is the next way to go. It gives you time to study further, so that if it goes south, goes south. If it stays on course, it stays on course. I appreciate that. And also, as the county, we may have funds available at some point.
Nice to know.
So there's more, private, public collaboration. I appreciate how you worked all this out.
Thank
I think we're still working it out.
Yeah, it's still there.
It's still working.
I think that that's probably the most important takeaway for anyone from the public, anyone watching this at home, is voting yes on this isn't guaranteeing that we go forward this. All it's doing is giving us the ability to think about that process going forward. That's all it's doing. It's just making it so that we can make a decision. We know at this point, there's still so many factors that we've not fully addressed, that we're not thinking, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. We know there's a lot more things to do, but without passing this, we can't even get to those things where we're making it. We all have concerns, we all have excitement. There's, it's a mixture of things. We want to insulate ourselves, we want to expand. So all of those things are still going to come up, and we're going to address those and do the best thing at the end of the day for Norridgewock taxpayers, I think. But we can't do that until we have the ability to either say yes or no, this is a good idea. And that's all this is saying we have the ability to take ownership. That's all. If we want to. We don't have to.
Okay. Anything else from the public? And I don't.
First is we have a representative from New Balance online.
Oh,
I don't
I
know
was just-
if he wants to unmute, say anything or not, either way.
Thank you. Good evening. I just wanted to acknowledge our appreciation for your time tonight from the board, from Richard and the community. Obviously, we share the excitement around the opportunity. It was great to hear and to learn more about Maine Greens and their culture, and continue, the opportunity for manufacturing and innovation at 20 Depot Street. So we're absolutely committed to being a great partner here, to helping the town do the due diligence, and working on the survey over the next couple of weeks, and helping as much as we can. So again, thank you, everyone, and appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you. Okay, any last words for you, Richard, if there's anything you want, John?
I have 3 things. The first is absentee ballots on this measure are available now. You can call the town office, stop by this town office, or you can have a third-party carrier or whatnot. Those are available without special circumstance until July 16th. This is the opportunity for you to actually weigh in and participate without having to come out for an evening meeting. Polls will be open on the 20th from 8 to 7 here at the town office. For those of you that are here, if you could sign in, if you haven't signed in before you leave, we would appreciate it. And the last piece, sort of a digression, is there are a lot of concerns about how we move forward and expertise in what our capacity as a community. And so municipalities have a tendency to go to engineers and end up having to pay too much money for this or that. And you do that because you're spending money to save yourself money in the long run is what they say, but I think it's an important part of the conversation tonight to inform the public that the town does have an initial tentative agreement for somebody with expertise in this area to represent the town's interest in negotiations, in the property development, layers of permitting and things like that, things that we're not thinking like, guess what? You wanna move your town office over there? Was it a town office before? No, we have to consider the traffic, we have to consider noise, odor and everything else, and we have to go through the planning board. Just like the fire department was supposed to when they built the fire station, or you do any other building. Everybody's gonna go through that process and we're gonna need help, and so I would hope that we'll have a on track at the next meeting on the 15th. For the board to review, but I think that's a good, strong first step to ensure that the town's position is stronger and the risk exposure is less. So,
Okay,
we don't, however.
thank you for that. Again, as long as there's nothing else from the public, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And thank you guys for coming out. Sir, I can't remember your name, but thank you for your questions. It's again, and people online, please feel free to comment, and those will be reviewed at our next meeting, as well as a little later in the meeting. So if you have, please put them on. Again, thank you, everyone. Okay, moving forward here, number 7, public hearing on proposed ARPA expenditures.
All right, assuming that public hearing is open, I'm gonna lead off.
And if you're gonna continue to talk, I gotta kick you out. Okay. All right, it just, that's the biggest complaint I get online, is people can't hear, so if there's any talking back there, it messes our little owl completely up. And I'm imagining there's a fair amount of people watching online this evening, so thank you. Moving forward, Richard.
First item under this, so this is the public hearing portion of this. This is not a time for the board to debate merits of a proposal. When we touch funds that we received as ARPA, which it's not ARPA money anymore, it's lost revenue money that the town is dedicated to a fund to promote public safety, to promote outdoor recreation and whatnot, the spirit of the ARPA money. When we propose allocating money from that fund, we hold public hearing. There are 2 items today. The first is a proposed speed feedback trail. This idea originated from the Road Advisory Committee at their meeting last week. With the premise that, number one, for their purposes, they want data when they're making decisions about the roads. Traffic data, speed data, and this does that. And it does it in a non-traditional way, I'll say. But it will collect the information, and then you look at the other areas where it would benefit. You've got schools opening, or you've got a ball tournament. Got folks that are saying, you know, speed's really fast on this stretch of road. We can deploy that, we can collect data, we can share that with law enforcement. And you know, more data generally is more power. We don't support the paralysis by analysis, but the road committee's here. There is a business item for this later on. But this is to discuss the potential expense of ARPA funds for a speed feedback program.
We just felt that with your request for more speed bumps. And Skip came up with a very viable idea to say, listen, we understand the complaints, but we need actual data. So if we go down this route and we have, when you guys receive your complaints, you can say, oh, let's trailer up there. And do we have 10%,
2%, 50%. And we get some traffic flow numbers so that if you have the data, you can make a more concerted effort to make the right decision as to appropriate these in the right places.
No, I agree. I was worried about the cost and I'm pleased with where it came in. No, I didn't think so. I was worried it was substantially more.
As long as we can gain, it's not just. I think the important part is, it's not just the flashing light that you see coming into town saying you're doing 42 miles an hour and 25. It's actually collecting that so that the powers that be can grab that data and look at it and analyze it and say, how do we do?
No, again, I think it's a fantastic idea, a little outside the box, but perfect. Skip, please.
Yeah, and part of that is, Richard, if he gets a complaint, he is supposed to respond to. All right, well, if it's one person is making a complaint, that isn't really a valid complaint as far as road conditions. And, you know, if it's several people that speak down the street, then, okay, we gotta address it, but if it's just one little old lady that's complaining, it's not worth putting a speed bump or anything else into it, it's just a little old lady complaining.
Yeah, no, I think data is,
We talked about this a little bit as well. You know, our goal as a road committee. What we're doing right now on Beach Hill.
Right.
And people are gonna complain about speed. I hate to say it, I'll say it, but I mean, it's not. That, our job as road committee and you guys as a selectmen is to get these roads in better shape and make them easily more affordable to maintain. Okay, if excessive speed now becomes an issue. As much as people would like to call you or call Richard and complain, that's the wrong department. It is not the town of Norridgewock's problem at that point. It is Somerset County Sheriff, state police. It's not your, I realize you're the first people that they call, but it really doesn't, it's not your job. And I want them to take their complaints to the right place, because they were complaining because their road was rough and dusty. Now they got what they call a speedway, that's still, yeah.
I get your point.
So yes, the point of clarification on that one is you meant Bigelow Hill and not Beach Hill.
Yeah.
Well, that's a legal.
Beach Hill qualifies.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, Mark, I'm sorry.
The town does want to be a conduit. You following the sheriff, I have a difficult time getting through to the sheriff's office.
I agree.
It's 14 extensions.
Yeah.
I don't mind if you say, well, they're speeding, guess what? I would be able to deploy a trailer out there, collect some data and then
That's
share
fine.
it after 7 days and say.
That's the way that works. That's
Well,
proper
it's-
chain.
Richard,
It's
I have a question. So this, I'm guessing this is something that we haven't had any experience with. Anytime we're collecting data, I'm assuming that means we're gonna have some sort of software, so that means ongoing costs, like what's this 11,000, is this just like to get this unit? What sort of, additional yearly, bi-yearly?
It depends on which one you have, which one you purchase.
Yeah.
The $1,500 a year is a recurring cost on
That's quite a bit.
this $10,000.
And now $1,500 in 2026, it could, that's my only concern with this is what is our continuing cost? This is not a one-time fee, if we're gonna be,
We didn't discuss that, so that is a valid question.
yeah, and because they always seem to just get us a mess up, my goodness, and it's gonna be like, oh, the software's not gonna.
Well, there's gonna be upgrades too, they'll have
Yeah.
to do, or updates.
It just-
Cost.
But this is the remote access. You can get a trailer without the data, but if you want.
I
the
think
data,
that
at
it
this
eliminates
point
what
in
they're
time,
looking for, I just
they're
am curious
doing-
what we're really looking at.
Right, you're looking at that 1,500 you get. It's
Right.
the recurring cost that you would pay for.
And
them.
I
That's
don't
relatively
think
easy to like count on, you think, like. I mean, if it goes up
No.
to 16, I just wanna know, I mean, to spend the $11,000, like, I don't have any issue with that, I just wanna have a full idea of what the full picture of is, what the actual lifetime cost of that unit is. And then we can really make the decision then of what the return on the investment is there. I don't think the $11,000 isn't gonna give us a return, I just wanna make sure that we're not then tied into something, or if we don't pay $4,000, now we paid 11,000 for something that doesn't even work except for flashing how fast you're going.
valid points, but I think if we spend the money on a speed, if we do spend the money on a speed trailer,
I don't think just a flashing sign makes a damn bit of difference.
No, makes me speed up for you.
I think we do, I think that we do need to collect that data.
Yeah,
If we don't
Is that
spend
the
that
only way
extra
to do
money to
that?
collect that data, it's just a sign that
if it's the data piece that we're really looking for, is this the most cost-effective mechanism to do that? Or is there something that just measures it without being the trailer thing? Is there? I'm just wondering if that's what we need that piece. Is that what we're looking?
You're looking at. The speed trailer crosses more than one line.
Mhm.
We had smaller signs in the past that didn't really work.
Yeah,
They go to a telephone pole, we're gonna drive a stake and sort of move them, you leave them there for 6, 8, 12 weeks.
yeah,
Because they're so inconvenient to move, that trailer can collect data, you can go, and we can put, for a couple $1,000, we can buy counters that go on the roadway to count traffic, but then you lose the time of day, you lose
Yeah.
speed. This is really that total package, and honestly, it's the nice to have. But when you task the road committee with reviewing speed tables, or we've invested in software right now, and that software prioritizes roads.
Mhm.
We could take that traffic count information and put it into that software.
They do integrate with one another, okay,
Right.
right,
But we sat in a room, we'll talk about it later, but you sit in a room and, okay, well, speed table, well, is that an isolated, do you just have one bad neighbor that's speeding by your house? Or is it,
Yeah.
people on average are exceeding the speed limit,
oh, yeah.
and the time of day is
Sure,
an important thing.
And it might only be one old lady that complains, but she's the only one that had the time to call in and do it or even know the mechanism, I mean.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was just curious if it's really the data that we're looking for, is, is there just someone that hooks up on somewhere and it tells you like that stuff, or,
I think there's a really narrow, there is a criteria that it has to fit. A speed table, speed bump has to fit the criteria. We've discussed this in length in the last 10 years.
Very
To
much.
no avail. But that being said, I think that if you have complaints on streets that, and they fit the criteria and the data backs it up, then we can go and say.
Yeah.
It hits all the buttons. I just think that's the only way to really have the information other than phoning complaints. I think that's how we fell into a dangerous trap up on Upper Main Street with the original one was phone calls. We didn't have any actual facts to go with it. And so if we're gonna do this, I am not against speed bumps in general. I know you would think that, but I think that it fits, there was a definite criteria that was set when this one went in. And it didn't, this particular one up on Main Street, that we have, didn't fit the criteria. Now, I'm not saying that Stanley Drive doesn't, or that Pine Street doesn't, or some of the other side streets in this town may fit that criteria. Now, you take this data and you look at the criteria in which it's set forth, and you can combine the two, come up with a solution that fits.
so if this says the road really needs it, are we really gonna get Mike Obert in here saying, put in the speed tables on these roads?
I think you might,
I feel like him and speed bumps is like me in an airport, like I just don't see it ever happening.
If it fits the criteria, that's my whole thing about this,
Yeah.
criteria,
Yeah.
and now we take this on top of, does it fit what? Speed
He's
bumps-
gonna wanna put that on his road so we can have the criteria to remove his.
I was at the road meeting last week, the board asked me that, and honestly, I think it's not really relevant, but you are a supporter of these neighborhoods and being an appropriate fit for them.
You don't want anybody to go down Pine Street, but we also discussed the fact that if you're standing on your front lawn and you're 8 feet from the hot top and somebody's doing 25 miles an hour, unless you're in that position where you're only 8 feet off the hot top, and 25 miles an hour can look
45.
pretty damn fast, if and so it's. If we have the data, because maybe they're doing 28, which is not horrendous, but it looks fast in that setting. So if we have this ability to say, Skip came up with the idea, and I think it's a great idea because it gives us information. And they always say information is power.
That point you're making right there that makes a lot of sense, cause you're right. Perception of the speed, it does look faster, and if we're getting 15 complaints if they're doing 40 and you're actually seeing they're doing 26, 27.
We have more data.
Yeah,
That's all we're asking.
yeah, that does.
Yeah.
That way
I
there
don't
we
think it's a
don't
bad idea, I
just.
just wanna know the long-term cost of it, yeah.
That on Main Street one.
Exactly.
You work for me, so I can you give me help.
Yes, but I mean, there are certain, you're gonna get that in.
Yeah.
So, but at least this way here we have.
Yeah.
That would have never happened. I didn't
It's a public hearing. I'm a radar.
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you people 40, so say it all the time. That's
Maybe
incredible.
we can use it for drag races at the airport for snowmobiles or something, to show their speed, make money off the airport.
Well, it doesn't-
Anything else from the public on this?
Second portion of this public hearing, I'm gonna defer to the fire chief, so while I said an urgent alert. For those people live streaming right now, an area of 218 River Road in Norridgewock is down to one lane, please use caution in the area.
Wait, Jesus, mine's, isn't it?
Yeah.
Call is into the DOT, but they have not.
One 48. So it's kind of being towards
Yeah,
Sam.
get the pictures.
I got one.
Send it to me right now.
Is it up near Sam? Is he that, is it past that?
It's right in front of Nancy's driveway.
Is it really?
The other way, yeah.
Okay.
Go back, it's fine.
It's down.
Is it?
So I'm gonna close the public hearing on the speed trap, yes?
They weren't-
No, 'cause it's both ARPA.
Okay, so they're both the same.
Yeah.
So I'll let you send that and then we'll touch on the,
Chief's gonna take care of it.
oh, even better, so you can dive in.
The ARPA funding, my request during this public hearing, or do you want it during number 14, which is where you make a decision?
You're gonna give the overview of what you're asking for,
Right now?
and why you're asking for it.
Okay, so. We have a new communications building, Matt, you might have seen it,
Yes,
right
yeah.
behind the fire station, yeah, school built it. The deal with the school is we just have to pay for the materials and they cover the labor, because it's a bunch of kids learning. And then we got an even better deal after discussion with the superintendent, they forgave half of the material costs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so, so now the material costs are down in the $2,300 range, so awesome. Further to that, it got moved to the fire station, at the expense of our town public works people, but also Mike over. And so Mike donated his time and equipment for that, so Mike, thank you for that. So anyway, it sits over there, we need to outfit it with some heating, cooling, electric. I told you last meeting that I didn't have a request for you. Because these are all small dollar things. For a purchasing policy, the town manager and I can just go get this stuff done. But to do that, we were gonna take money from some of our fire department revenue account. And you've seen our capital list, we went through it in April, right? We got a big capital list, and frankly, we'll always have a big capital list. And this felt like a good ARPA request. I mean, if you look at it as public safety, you know, benefits all the residents of Norridgewock. It felt like a good request to, instead of spending some of our revenue that we've gotten over the years, to ask for ARPA funds. So it's in three parts. It's $2,300 to pay for that half of the materials for the building. It's not to exceed $4,000 for a small heat pump, about a 6,000-ish BTU heat pump. I know what you're thinking probably, that, well, it sounds like a big number for a small heat pump. I think it is too, but that's what the market's getting these days, and the town's not eligible for what, you know,
Rebate.
what you guys might be personal, right? But some of the rebates and things, and frankly, there isn't as many rebates out there even. And then the third part of the request is hiring electrician. We picked Craig Jewel, Short Circuit Electric. He's done work for the town. He's done work for the town at the fire station before. Does a good job. He showed up 15 minutes after I called her, so he sold me there. But the building needs an electric service, and what we want to do is create. We've already had a CMP and was in the office the other day. We came right in and we've got an account created and everything. We want our own feeder to that building with our own meter and main. The truck body that's up there today, to shorten the story, it's fed from 2 or 3 other buildings that aren't in our control. The buildings are old and dilapidated, the wiring is in some cases questionable, in some cases I've never even seen it. In locked buildings that we can't control if our power's out, it would be a lot better for us to have a feed from CMP. If the pole is 20 feet away, 30 feet away, and if the power's out, we know who to call, right? And so we have more direct control. Small power bill, yes, but we can address that with lease renewals going forward.
So it would be a new borough bill that we could start budgeting for in 27. It would be down at the minimum. And then, of course, as we renew leases, we can, hey, we're paying the power now, we can recapture some or all of that. There'll be a whole lot better situation. It felt like the right quest for some of the ARPA money that's still there, preserve the revenues that we have, we're trying to save for load and all these other things on our list. So I changed my mind after talking to Richard 2 weeks ago, and so I'm asking for up to 8,800 of ARPA funds to cover that project.
So,
Public hearing, so anybody can ask, right?
Yep.
Right.
I'll just, ARPA, where'd we get these funds? What was the outfit?
American Rescue thing came out during COVID.
American Rescue Plan Act, so we received $340,000 then.
Yep.
Most towns used it differently. The act was written to allow municipalities to write up to $10 million off as lost revenue, with no questions asked. So, because I don't like filing quarterly reports with the federal government, I wrote it all off with the authority of the board as lost revenue. And so now we don't have the accounting aspect of it. We did incur those one-time expenses. A lot of folks started programs with this money that require recurring. Silly, but they've done it. And we've chosen to take this money and use it in the spirit of COVID money to say, anything that promotes outdoor activity.
Yeah.
Anything that
Public
promotes
safety.
emergency services, public safety, and we've tried to stay with that as a guide, but it's not a requirement.
Yeah, well, that's good reason to use it too, I guess.
It felt like the right fit.
Yep.
If we didn't have anything else to buy, it'd be different,
Yep.
right? But we always have to lose.
Anything from the public? Crickets? Okay, anything else from the board on that?
What is getting our
One more
ARPA thanks
thing,
for the
The
sinkhole?
building will need to be moved again.
You might know a guy.
We all know a guy.
Which side of the speed bump is going?
With that, we'll close the public hearing. And move into number 8 here, review and approve the minutes of June 17th.
So moved.
There's a motion. Second, any discussion on those? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everyone. Members reports, we'll start with Lindsay. Chucky?
Yes, see that they're finally starting some work here in town, getting stuff set up, so it's next Monday, right?
Yes.
Can't come any sooner. Sure got broken, several vehicles running through them holes.
And anything I have, I'm sure you're going to touch on, so we will just dive right into the town manager's report.
Okay, I'll piggyback off of Jeff's and just give you a heads up. It appears as though Main Street in Norridgewock will be approved for a one-way traffic plan. It's the initial indication. So your westbound traffic will remain on Main Street. Your eastbound traffic will be diverted down Perkins Street, back Mechanic Street, and make use of the no spaded intersection. Not confirmed, but it's appearing very, very likely there. This project is not a short project. It is very likely that it will continue through November.
Oh, wow.
Sweet
So-
baby nuggets.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing from contractors, affiliates of contractors, and that's just because of the many layered, and it's several projects in one. So the route to Millville is the first project that's supposed to happen, and then the sidewalks and the lighting and things like that will happen after.
So we're looking for a single lane for that whole 4 months, 5
I'm
months?
not sure how it's gonna be laid out, but I know the contractors proposed one-way traffic. And submitted that to DOT for review.
Well,
Does that mean
thoughts and prayers.
flaggers, we shouldn't be the flaggers? They're gonna try to keep traffic flowing as best as possible with minimal.
No, you said it was gonna be a light,
Yes.
right?
The idea behind the traffic rerouting is to ease congestion on Main Street and minimize the expense of flaggers and portable traffic lights and things like that, so that in a perfect world, we'll still be able to move where we have been in the past.
Brad, please.
Has anybody from the DOT come and spoken or laid the plan out for like business owners on Main Street? the municipalities?
So nobody from DOT's come, the contractor copied us on it. I had talked with the two, I'll say, traffic businesses that were in that section of the impact. A restaurant, a convenience store. The others don't really rely on that foot traffic and they're very easy, come and go. One of the ones that I missed is the tire shop, and what's their ability to get from their retail point to their inventory. But, I reached out to the restaurant, it's probably been 3 or 4 months, and the store I had a meeting with probably a month ago. They don't want what happened when the water district project happened. And that was, and neither do our truckers in town. They don't wanna be stuck there for 40 minutes, because then people just don't come at all. So,
Would you like somebody from the DOT to come and lay out the plan? And have a point of contact so that if you receive complaints.
yes, so.
I'll up my nose at it if you want, if you don't.
No, the town would very much appreciate it, because we also would like to take the burden, the onus off from this office. And onto DOT or the contractor to publicize this. I know there's steps in place already, but I think this board would want to engage and set standards for that. And probably emergency services has a few comments, but no congestion or minimize congestion downtown is far better than not being able to get a truck.
Yeah, from a fire perspective and ambulance, I'm okay with it going up and around the corner.
Yeah.
It's better than sitting. If my fire truck is moving towards a fire, that's way better than sitting and waiting, being blocked, and people trying to get out of the way. I did talk to the contractor who was proposing this to the DOT. One comment he added for me is, in the area of businesses, that he would have a minimal amount of flaggers to assist motorists in getting in and out of businesses. In his plan, he did mention that, so I thought I'd add that to it.
We'll keep you posted, but if we could facilitate that, I think that'd be good. Obviously, if they could attend 6 o'clock on the 15th of July.
And my department has requested of me, is there some sort of informational graphic, some sort of posting that we could share with Skowhegan Fire, Madison Fire, Smithfield Fire, EMS would be a big one, some sort of graphic that we can share, and I would think that would come once it's approved.
Right, there is, and it's, right, it needs to go through that workshop.
You're not gonna publicize it until it's approved.
Right, yeah.
That makes sense.
Bigelow Hill Road project is moving along well. The entire road has its base pavement down. The goal is to have the top coat put on starting next Tuesday. We're ironing out some issues with Skowhegan and their proposal, because they have a 400-foot section on the other end of that road and it doesn't tie in very nicely. We're hoping that for the $12,000 price estimate, they will sign on, get that paved. But anyway, that project is coming up very well, and we have received some complaints again related to traffic and traffic control. 2 meetings ago, the board asked for road close signs to be moved up to the end of each road. Well, now we moved them up to the end of each road, and they don't matter. People just keep going, and then they get themselves in and out of construction equipment. So I had to go and do a site visit today, and you can't win. Contractor can't win, the residents can't win, and that's just kind of unfortunate. And so I think it's maybe a lesson learned. Where we would just require flaggers and pay that extra. I mean, we'll probably save 20-25 grand by allowing her to close the road. But we won't be able to, because people think that that road closed sign is there and it's not for them. And once we get to cones and barricades and paving equipment, that I can sneak by and I don't know, forgetting that the road's closed. So it does expose everybody to liability, and it's not safe, I guess, at the end of the day, as long as people are gonna do that. So that'll be addressed in future projects. That's really just something.
You know, and also, they're having to sneak by these equipment and it's not safe, so, you know, businesses and people still live on that road, so, definitely gotta find common ground for it.
Yeah, so most motorists are entitled, and those signs don't apply to them. And when a road is posted as road closed, it doesn't mean see if you can sneak between the shoulder of the road and the paving machine. But I was up there for about 15 minutes today. And the only one that I could justify sneaking through was a FedEx delivery driver making to a driveway where they were working in front of. Everybody else should have planned to go back. And they didn't, everybody just finagled their way through, and while I was there, we had they came right nose to nose, because they weren't waiting for each other. It is what it is, and we're gonna end up having flaggers.
Read the sign. Simple math.
Okay, the newsletter, bridge newsletter.
Good read, wouldn't things be easier,
The bridge newsletter, that is pretty near finalized, I just needed to wait for the meeting tonight, make sure you can modify anything coming out of the public hearing. So that will hopefully be in your mailbox before the end of the week next week. Meeting packets, we've kind of kicked this around in the past somewhat, but digitizing meeting packets, so to get rid of all the paper. When you leave the book, by and large, this stuff goes into the recycle.
Yeah.
So yes, it's being recycled, but in a month's time, I probably use 2 reams of paper to provide you with your materials. Chuck gets 2 piles of this, because I print them out a copy on Friday, and then I give him a reminder like everybody else on Wednesday. So I'm exploring the possibility of getting that software with the recurring cost, but I'm afraid to find out.
Well, but then I know that I try to look at everything before we get here, but there's a lot of times with some of the specific information that we're looking at it as we're going through this.
Yep.
If it's digitized, are we looking at our phones?
You would be in my perfect world looking at a tablet, and you have the ability to make margin notes, and the ability to use a pen to make margin notes, or your finger or a keyboard, make margin notes, and then you could go along. It's not gonna
Sounds
be,
more expensive than paper.
pardon?
Sounds more expensive than reams of paper.
It does when you
Yeah.
consider yourself and you don't consider the staff time that goes into putting
Oh.
together every package for every board committee. And the postage associated with it, Chuck comes and picks it up, but that could cost me money. And then look at the thickness
So
of
we
his
still
planning
need
board
some
pack. And it probably should have.
We waste a lot of paper.
Yeah, no, we definitely do.
So anyway, it's
So
a
got
forward
that.
thinking thing, it may be
Yeah.
cost prohibitive, but it's gonna happen eventually. And this kind of stemmed from feedback that I've received in the past, which is why we have warrants on the end of the table. The public often watches, hundreds, thousands of people watch the meetings. And we assume that everybody knows what's in here, and I think people look at me and say, when you're in the room, they say, well, we've got to kind of give an overview. You're saying, well, it's right here. The majority of the public that's watching your meeting doesn't understand what we're talking about half the time. And if we published our materials, it's that added layer of transparency. So I'm exploring that, and this one that I had a meeting with yesterday is interfaces with our website and our agenda center already. So it sounds really cool, but they aren't the cheapest date in town. So.
Nothing is so cheap.
Right, so then it's a matter of what's it gonna be worth to be able to staff their 8 or 9 boards and committees and their meeting packets and relevant materials, so. It's kind of interesting, but we'll get a price on that soon enough. Bobby Jo Welch, she's the program director. She expressed an interest in the parks, and she has been appointed to the parks position.
Great.
So she started out on the 15th of June. And she's seen some parks activity online with events and things like that. The solicitation letter went out for Sula Days. Bobby Jo's behind all of that now. She's already working on t-shirts for Sula Days, things like that. So very encouraged with that. She's met with the committee, and that will hopefully get better as she gets accustomed to how each event rolls out. 30-day notices, those are notices to go out certified mail for unpaid taxes back to 2025. We sent those out yesterday, so you're gonna start to see, if you didn't pay taxes last year, you're gonna start to see certified mail. 137 of those notices went to avoid lien, which is the more costly notice. Liens will be filed on August the 6th, so you need to pay your taxes before close of business on the 5th. During transfer station is avoided holiday closures. But the 4th of July is on a Saturday, so they will be closed on July the 4th. Your planning board signaling out this meeting July 9th. They're going to look at a proposed subdivision on Waterville Road. It's only a 3-lot subdivision, but there will be a subdivision that they're gonna start on the sketch plan review. And they'll also be considering a site plan review application for a current chicken barn, storage barn. For 9,000 feet proposed to be converted to medical marijuana cultivation. And that will be on their agenda for Thursday night. There are provisions in your site plan review ordinance that help guide restrictions and conditions. on proposed development, so odor and noise and things like that. But there's nothing that restricts or additionally governs, such a proposed development, so, it looks like it's gonna be moving through, barring some unforeseen circumstances. And I think that's just another one of those things that needs to be included in the conversation that we're having about proposed regulation, of medical marijuana cultivation facilities in town. The household hazardous waste day, waste management posts that for member communities, which includes Norridgewock, that is on July the 18th from 9 to 12. The point of collection is Route 2, 357 Mercer Road, you need to go in that entrance, participate in the collection. We're closed on Friday for the holiday, and then we will be open on July the 20th, which is actually next meeting, but we'll be open on voting day when it's here at the office.
Okay, thank you. Number 11 here, discussion action on July 1st, general warrant number 13.
I'll make a motion to approve general warrant number 13 in the amount of $29,886.57.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
What is Viking climb? Viking
Surveys, right.
surveys? What is that?
It's something for public works, we usually get
Okay.
cutting edges or truck parts from them. An old bill, actually.
And the Harpo's chemicals, is that stuff we put on like is that the,
Sewer plant process.
oh, okay. And what do we have to buy at Beauregard equipment?
Oh, that's gonna be equipment repairs for public works.
All right, I was just hoping I was with the airport, that's good, I'm good.
The airport's broken up. We'll pay those bills next meeting.
Every time, it makes me feel a little bit better about it to like vent it out that way.
That's the payload. It's,
Is what
that
that
is
is.
a part of the payload. Coming from the payload, if that's the case.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's everyone. Public comment? You sure? You got anything over there?
What do you guys find bedtime, Rich? You don't have to.
Feels it, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're not.
All right, moving along.
I do have a question.
Oh, sorry, please go
I
ahead.
don't know whether this is the time for it, but are there any plans to do anything on the first part of Target Hill Road? It gets pretty muddy in the spring because it's all shaded. It needs to be built up. We have asked, like I said, but we do understand it's the problem. I don't have a list in front of me like the Tower Hill. I couldn't even speak as to where it is on the list if there was in the questions you don't expect. Sorry, thank you. Sorry.
Okay.
But you can feel free to ask me sometime if I haven't listened.
No, right on. Okay, moving forward here. Right there, number 13, discussion action on road committee recommendations.
So. You know, if you participate, squeaky wheel gets threes, and I think when they look at Tarbell Hill, they look at Tarbell Hill as a whole, as opposed to maybe just a short section. So I've written that down, and when we get together again, they talk about it, and they'll know ahead of time, they'll go drive it tonight on their way home. And we'll talk about it at the next meeting, but
I will.
those are areas where we'd like to know if there's specific concerns, and so thank you for bringing that. It's not on their radar, if not for you coming tonight and expressing that. Speed tables, that's what you gave to them at your last meeting, I believe. You got the summary of what they want. In the perfect world, they get speed tables in appropriate locations, but don't want to just be putting speed tables because of perception of need. And so the other thing with that is that we talked about Wall Street and the condition of Wall Street, if we're gonna put speed tables that it needed to wait. And when we started looking at data collection on road surfaces, Pine Street should be considered for a layer of pavement. And so if speed tables are recommended for those roads, they would recommend it in conjunction with the surface treatment. With the repaving. So that is pretty much, we're not gonna do it 2026, but if they were recommended, they would recommend doing them in 2027 as part of the project.
I think that makes sense, really.
So that's that, and then as a part of that, it's a different business item, it kind of blends together, but speed and trailer came out of that, so. And then looking ahead to their next road work plan, if you will. They appreciated this split of grinding in the fall, let it do repairs, let it winter out, repair in the spring and then pave. Pleasant Hill Drive, dead end subdivision off the airport road. Walt Street, that's a connector street from Perkins to Main Street. Stanley Drive is a connector street from Perkins Street to Mechanic Street. And Boy Street, which is off from Everett Street, which is off of Waterville Road.
Rich, can I make one comment? I did go down Wade Street terribly, and I know it's half dirt and half gravel. But has it been? We have some drainage issues over there, and it's always been a bone contention because it's gonna be a very costly project to try to correct some of the drainage issues. But I was just thinking, you might be able to ride it as well. The hot top section of Wade Street is pretty tore up. So I was wondering if we could maybe toss that into a grind leave situation. I know there's other issues beyond, but that particular part of the hot top, I was just put that on my list of potential. It may need more than that because around the corner where it's dirt, there is drainage issues. But at best, it could be at least addressed.
Okay. It's the next road committee meeting.
On the next road committee, I think it, and it may have already come up, if we are doing this one-way traffic that's gonna last all the way through November, have we considered the impact to those roads that aren't typically seeing that much heavy traffic that are the town roads? Are we anticipating having to do something like afterwards because of it, or are they gonna be able to hold up to that?
Those two roads that would be used are on this list.
Yeah.
They're in poor condition. One of them has a temporary speed bump on it right now.
Yeah.
It does.
And they need attention. The road committee gets that. If you use Welch Street or Stanley to bypass the regular flow of traffic, you're gonna take longer. You're gonna not be able to get back out into the flow of traffic if you do that.
Okay. Alright,
So, and eventually, if too many people think that they're gonna outwit,
yeah,
there'll be a sheriff's deputy sitting on the street. and then
I just,
yeah.
I think not even from that, just like from a road committee standpoint, if we know people are gonna do people stuff and do things that they shouldn't, and are we anticipating
Yeah.
the people aspect of that to those roads and being able to accommodate like the fixing, so.
I had a meeting with a resident today of Welch Street, and it kind of came out with a conversation where the board may want to consider posting no through traffic on those streets.
No one listens to that, but we, yeah.
Right, goes right back to road closed,
Mhm.
right? And anybody that's respectful of anything isn't gonna cut through a residential neighborhood to try to bypass Route 2, you're gonna take the detour sign and come down.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
Our transportation drivers at school, when they're contracted with fees, still have elected to take Welch Street after we asked them not to. So, those are public employees, setting all of this aside. So when you look at for-profit people that they gain 4 miles a gallon in their truck and they can save a little bit each way. I don't know, but
They got
people
that,
that respect probably have to stop putting signs up.
get that on Depot Street, that means go more.
Right.
Are those speed bumps still there? I've been down that road forever.
Yeah.
Are they gonna continue to stay there till we figure out what's going on with that building, or is it,
Yes.
yes, okay, they're kind of a permanent structure now.
I think they are until we figure out what the purpose of the building would be, and if they're relevant, then they're great, but if
It
you
did-
pull them
it
out,
does
you put
work.
them back in.
They do work, cause I've seen people watching.
Yeah.
So the plan as it was decided or recommended at the road committee meeting the other day was to grind and do necessary base repairs fall of 2026 to Pleasant Hill Drive, Welch Street, Stanley Drive, and Roy Street. And then repairs will be made in the spring if they were necessary and then paved. Then Everett Street, which is off Waterville Road, and Pine Street really just needed an overlay, and so those would be done when we took care of the other road surfaces in the spring. So like we did with Burl Hill, it's a section of road that would be left open. Those 4 streets that I named first, and that's what the recommendation is.
So I have one
Reflected in
question.
town.
Accept the road committee's recommendation, is that what we're?
I'm looking for consensus so that we can seek out prices for these projects.
So do you need motion from us?
I don't need motion, I just need
Okay.
consensus.
Yeah, Chuck,
Yeah.
yes, you agree with what they're trying to do?
So I have, the only question I just been thinking about since the time frame. If the trailer, speed trailer is available. Will we be able, it will, how soon will we be able to obtain something like that, so that we can get, if Pine Street is on the docket for spring of 27. Will we be able to have accurate information prior to that being done, so that we can incorporate it in the
Yes,
project?
yes. The lead time, if they're on any speed trailer, they're gonna price on, they wouldn't quote it if it was gonna be too much of a lead time.
Okay,
And I told them if we were gonna be purchasing it, if we gained authorization, it'd be a quick turnaround. And as a result of that, we got some discounts on that too. But
okay, so we would have that, that's all I ask, is because if we're gonna do that,
Makes sense.
we do prove that to be paid. And it notably needs a speed bump. We need to be on the list.
Okay, and that's a pretty much a yes or no.
okay, so then we'll move forward and get a pricing for that. Those parts and get a unit price on it.
Okay. Number 14, discussion action on, ARPA expenditures.
So,
So this is the action item for the public hearing items. The first is speed feedback trailer. The price that we have in the quote is $10,710.69. I would ask the authorization for up to 11,000. We would probably want graphic on this that said it was the town, whether it was a town seal or something else to apply on that.
I agree.
So the motion, the affirmative motion would be to approve up to $11,000 from ARPA funds for the purchase of a speed feedback trailer.
so moved.
Motion, second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's everyone?
Second affirmative motion would be to approve up to $8,800 from ARPA funds for expenses related to the radio communications building.
So moved.
Motion,
I'll second.
second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everyone's vote.
Thank you.
Okay, number 15, discussion action on new road name.
This is current 482 Waterville Road. This is the property that will be going to site plan review, planning board next week. For the conversion to a cultivation facility. When they turn that barn into a cultivation facility, it will be occupied, and so it necessitates a house number. So we need to cut in there. The applicant's agent provided me with two requested names. The first is High Yield Way and the second is High Rate Way.
No, I'm not okay with in either one of these. This property can be used for something else. We don't need to have like weed central things. Pick something that's not, we don't need. No, I think that this is. If we wanna control what things look like and not have pot plants all over the place, we're not, why are we naming things high yield, let's like. Just name it like 420 Avenue or something like that, or like Weed City. No, like come up with something. It doesn't need to be related to weed. Other businesses have things and they don't name it after the business. It's not, it's like it's their name. They're saying it's high. Absolutely not. I mean, like, no, come up with something
So-
better for us.
I kind of agree with you, but we've had this discussion before about overstepping. And
It's referencing drugs. No, like it's not someone's name and that just sounds
It
weird.
is.
This is
it
referencing.
is, but
drugs.
it isn't.
It's referencing, it's,
so-
people can have drunk
I
alley.
know,
That's
I
what it
know.
is. It's high. No, it's referencing getting high. Why is this even, we're not overstepping. Come up with something else, like, cultivator way. I don't care, but don't put it, just like if someone's opening up a liquor store, we're not gonna name it Booze Alley, Booze Way, Drunk City. No, it's like, it's high. No, I get that they're being cheeky with it, but it's stupid.
I
No.
do struggle, I do.
No,
It's just
like, come on,
struggle.
like. Oh,
We have the authority to do that.
Oh, we do.
yeah,
Yeah. we
come up
do.
with a better name that doesn't
Yeah.
involve saying like you're high waisted, whatever it is, like,
And it,
You know?
money, maybe that's what.
no, it's because they're growing weed.
The
They're,
agent said that she wanted a lucky name.
Well, yeah. He's
how is,
right.
like, find something luckier, because they weren't lucky on these names. I'm a no. Like, and I know that sounds mean, but like, just like we wouldn't say drunk, we wouldn't say intoxicated, we wouldn't say anything high, like, come up with something different. It doesn't need to be the weed road, like the,
Point of conversation, The affirmative motion is to approve one of these names as the new road name for a property formerly identified as 42 Waterville Road.
I will not do a
Get
motion for that.
something on the table, and then you can vote either for or against.
So I would entertain a motion. Would you like to formulate that statement into a motion?
I don't know if
Can't
I
be a
want to.
negative.
It can be a negative.
No, we cannot.
Oh, it can be.
No,
If we don't do anything, nothing happens, right?
well, then I can't do my job, which is
We can.
by the state
We
statute.
tell them to
So,
come back with something else.
Our options to send this back to them and ask for it, because it's supposed to be three.
Whoopsies, sorry.
Can we send this back to them and ask for a different name? Can we appoint a name? What are our options here? We've never said no to that.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, I feel like we have.
Well, sometimes we don't ask, we've just done it. The Huff Road, about Old Schoolhouse Road, I just kind of did that, I reached out to the historical society and said, is there anything of historical significance on the area, I back to historical society, from the public discussion.
Wouldn't it be embarrassing if 50 years from now, the historical society comes and like, we're known as the high one because there was weed growing there? No, like we have the ability to, it does not need to reference the business that's going in there, especially since it's. I don't know. I don't want it to be Puffin Pass Road, I don't want it to be like,
What if it was Puffin and it was a bird? They put a nice little bird.
it's very specific what this is and why it's that name, and they're like.
Does that road have to be named before they can go to the plan?
It's a part of it.
Get plan.
It's a part of the, yeah.
If they don't get approval of site plan, then I won't need to assign a number to the bond, so it'll remain 42. But a part of their application is to have an address.
Yeah,
or
I
authorization.
understand it.
So
Any
if we
thoughts
put
on
this in
this?
for like a thing, if we just vote it down, then what happens?
In the middle.
Goes back then if we say no to these?
Step
So if we make a motion and say
two.
either one of these, we say no to them, then it just goes back to them. So is that our way to send it back and give us something that's not referencing?
I mean, I don't wanna pick their road for them. When this. Doesn't set well with.
No, it's just,
Again, I'm very much a hypocrite, but again, I struggle with this piece, I do, if this.
I mean,
I think it should be a respectful name too.
And
I
it-
mean, I'm talking
yes,
about
it
like.
feels
It's
disrespectful.
their property, they should be able to, but I also think
Yes.
respectfully, they should pick something better.
And is it us thinking, because we know it's medical weed, that high yield way is referring to that, I mean, high.
none of
yield.
them even roll off the tongue. They're like.
What?
Like.
But that's
no,
not even the issue, right? I mean, the issue, is it a drug reference?
It is.
High yield would be the same for corn. Or
Yeah.
carrots,
Yeah, I understand,
or
yeah.
anything, so
It could.
are we overstep, I struggle to.
Name it agricultural alley. I don't care, but it doesn't, the weed place doesn't need to be called high anything. Like, just like we would not allow liquor store to be like drunk drive or like, alcoholic alley. It's
Maybe, you're right.
booze
What
bypass,
if
like
it was Whiskey Lane or something like that?
Right, so
probably not, like, I feel like anything that. We don't want kids singing and associating with anything, and I think that this is in that spot. Come up with something else. I mean, if we put it up to a thing, I'm gonna vote no, not, but like, I think that they should have been more respectful, knowing where our intentions are for the town. They can come up with something else that is just as pleasing to them, that doesn't say hi, doesn't say. Messed up, it doesn't need to be anything to do with marijuana references for our town names.
I feel it's overstep if we don't approve one of their names.
I do too.
They didn't give us three, give us a third option that's not as crappy as these.
I've got an idea, we'll start with high.
Right.
Well, then come up with
Probably will.
something that's not high,
Yeah.
because that is like the same thing as saying drunk. They're saying get high, and that's not a message to be sent.
But we're,
Do we already have a high street? Is that why they're not just picking that one?
we don't. There's one, that would be conflicting with something else in another town, I think Skelly would have a high street.
Yeah, they do.
They've got a river road though too, and we have those new ones.
Main Street.
Yeah.
One motion,
I do want a motion, Chucky.
I make it high rate way.
Jeez.
There's Ronnie.
Right, Ron's not here more,
Need a second to get on the table.
I know you know, yeah, no, I know.
Can somebody just second it as a courtesy,
Agreed.
Mr. Farren, so we can call for a vote?
Agree with Lindsay, I have grandkids too.
Need a second before you can have.
I don't,
Okay,
I don't think-
I'll second it so that we can have open discussion.
there you go.
We could discuss it now, try the vote, see what happens, I guess. Well, there's four of us, so it could go. Well,
Yeah,
I just wish it was a little more respectful, I'll get it.
I see both sides of
I
this,
do
but it's a
too.
real struggle for me.
It is.
Again, I don't like overstep, but I think that it is our job to hear
To
what
step.
it's our
we're
name.
overstepping, some would say, on what we're allowing even in for marijuana into our things, now we're naming roads after getting high, like no, it's.
So this business must have been an application that we approved, right?
But you're getting eyeballs from the audience, I think people might have something waiting on, and it might be good to get some.
Oh, please, please.
Okay, you have a motion on the table. What happens if you vote no?
It goes back to them, they have to come up with a
It
name.
goes back to them for a rename, right?
It could, or somebody else can make another motion. Yep.
Yeah.
You have a perspective on this? Would you accept a road name or not?
No, I would not.
Ronnie's not here, he can step in.
No.
See, I'm not wrong,
All right,
guys.
So, no, I
definitely don't think you're wrong.
To approve High Rate Way, the new road name.
We don't have any more relevant discussion.
The only discussion I might say is if you have an issue with high, then maybe you just strike it and call it Yield Way or Rate Way.
But that's not what they wrote here, and are they gonna accept that? And if they're,
They don't get a choice.
You are,
We accept
you
it.
have the authority vested in you to name the roads.
We do.
Within this town. They were asked for 3, they provided you 2, and if you're not happy with them, then I would say you modify or you create. And if you need to.
What do you want it, I withdraw my motion, what do you want it to say?
No,
you can't
No,
vote,
no,
we have to vote on it.
no need.
Hold on.
We have to vote on high rate way right now.
So
Yeah.
let all of those in favor of High Rate Way. So the motion fails.
those opposed.
Yes,
Oppose. Yeah, I guess you can oppose your motion.
Yeah, whatever.
So it definitely doesn't pass. So I would take a motion for a different name.
what is the name of their business? Or whoever's developing this,
M&M 1833 LLC.
Yeah.
so there's no actual like,
No,
M&M,
so it's only
Yeah.
gonna be businesses that are on this, like, what's the?
It's gonna be similar in structure, not that this is relevant to the discussion, but it's gonna be similar in structure to the rollover Inc. where it's developed by one person, but it's occupied by individual caregivers beside.
M&M,
No.
it's, you know,
Like cultivation corridor, I mean, you can have something to do with it, they're growing something, but I mean, that's fine, but it doesn't need to be.
Eminem. How does that, do you have
No,
to
do it
specify
as-
how that is? That is the name of the consultant.
I mean, I would frown on putting,
No,
Because
it
of
needs to
the
be a word, like,
abbreviation.
it's just,
It's also like naming the road after your kid, it's,
Right.
no, if it heard you said about it.
and yield way, I mean, that sounds like you're giving a traffic direction, like it's.
So I think you're arriving at the motion you wanna make, right? There's only one left there. And I think Richard already touched on it. I think that rate way. That doesn't,
Doesn't even sound right, and I think it's completely not any, I mean, it doesn't even make any sense, it's just a random word now, cause it's high, like it's.
true.
Mhm.
It's like you, but it doesn't.
You're at the intersection of decency and First Amendment.
I know,
Right.
I really do.
definitely.
When does,
How about we name it Bloom Street,
Road.
Bloom Road, like, what's some, what, I don't know, what are they thinking, like, Flower Lane or something like that, what grows on weed stiff, like, what is, I mean, like,
bloom, flower, any of those would.
Yeah,
would
we don't
work.
have one of those, do we?
No, we don't have the bloom.
There you go.
We don't have a flower.
Hey, sounds nice, no one will know what that is, they'll know and they'll think that they're getting a weed reference, and it doesn't sound like.
A weed drift.
Well, everyone's know what's going on, and they put a wire in there about that big.
Right.
That's gotta go on.
Right.
This is what we call it, sneaker lane, I don't know, but like Flower Road or Flower Avenue, Flower Lane, whatever you want, like,
Big to 55-gallon drum.
Just from a advice perspective, if you frown upon high, probably shouldn't give a nod to any other aspect of the product, if that's the reason for.
make it agriculture alley or cultivator way, or,
Maybe we table,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When does the plan be done?
it'll be next Thursday. But let's table if you have recommendations, and I can reach out to the Historical Society in the same way that we did the
Yeah.
last
Let
one.
them name it.
I would.
Let them come up with something,
I would.
yes.
So, well, you need a motion to table?
I need a motion to table.
Motion to table,
So moved.
second, any further discussion? Too much already. All those in favor?
There you go. All right, let's see how many people are angry about the road name.
Here we go.
No,
Review on.
sorry,
public
I'm
comment.
sorry, but sorry.
Go get on.
Light them up.
Yeah, oh, they're gonna, yeah. Here it comes.
I bet we're gonna get some good names. Honestly, if nothing else, I bet like the public will come up with some like really good ones.
Yeah. As much as I wanted, you can't. Yeah. You can't, yeah.
There will always be this is related to New Balance, there will always be an administrative burden, cost associated with management of the building, or paying a contract to managing the building. Money doesn't come from nothing, it has to come from the town. The townspeople pay upfront until the economic growth and condo renters grow and pay rent. Roof, plowing, accident, on the river, rats. Literally, the neighbor attracts rats. These are valid questions from townspeople.
That's on the building, that's on name.
Talking about local low-income housing like it's a detrimental thing in one of the poorest states in the country is ludicrous. So apparently,
I think
Steve
so.
never met a working person living in an RV all winter because they can't even afford an apartment in the area, or a senior that can't afford one on their fixed income. And I wonder how many jobs will come with Main Grains and how much of an economic advantage Carrigan has gotten since they scooped up the old jail for a bargain based price. I think the liability, this is a new one, I think the liability of accepting the building outweighs any advantage. It would end up costing the residents more tax increases in the long run. Taxes go up every year, $80 to $100 more each year. Add this now and what everyone will be $150 to $200 more each year.
I don't know where we're getting the math from.
Set on how much the town wants. What a joke. Just picked up 4 new watchers, and that appears to be all your comment from that post.
Just to clarify from working class, I have 3 jobs. So
Me
you
too.
work, everybody, so
Yeah,
yes.
I-
Everybody who knows that, nothing's handed to me, there's no thing.
On the bright side, at least you don't work for DOT, because there are just as many comments on the sinkhole.
That's probably my fault too, 'cause I don't like poor people or something. You know.
Is there anything else on there worth addressing, you feel? I don't.
I do want the public to know, the board wants public to know that all of the comments that were received on any platform that was publicly available, whether through neighborhood page or the town's post, on the meeting or the absentee ballot or the public hearing, all of those comments were consolidated into a document and shared with the select board prior to the meeting, and they've been reviewed. So they don't go unignored, we do keep an eye on that throughout the week. And thank you, because it's the most engagement that we've ever had.
Yeah, good or bad, I really, I love to have them, love to hear them, and, yeah, I'm glad there's some participation at that level.
Get involved is a big.
You have something for other business? Does the board have anything else for other business?
Can skip go.
The only thing I have is, do you need something official for posting those streets down here for no through traffic? From the board,
If that's the board's pleasure.
it's a yes for me, it's not even a question.
I think a waste of time.
Oh,
That means,
Yeah.
that means go more.
Well, I think we have the signs, and they can just go on.
It will preempt concerns from the neighborhood. And it won't fix anybody that wants to cut through.
You're right,
It's gonna,
but at least for
some of it.
you hopefully not town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Right.
better road and quicker to go.
It's not even gonna know to go there though.
It should be signed.
Yeah.
They will, I mean, one of the things I heard today was, you get 1 tractor trailer a day coming across Wall Street. Because you use Waze or something, I don't know if tractor trailer driver does, but I use Waze. And Waze will push me out off this exit and back onto that exit, because it knows there's an accident up ahead. It might notice congestion on Main Street where there's a flagger, and so it's pushing vehicles down.
This is probably completely like not doable, but I know that we talk about putting up like, the road bumps and stuff people not. I mean, what if we had something that could be suspended? So now there's a height thing, so like a bus, a big truck can't go, if we can just. Have something aligned so they'll
Yeah,
clothesline themselves. I mean, I don't know if that's something that could be done, but like,
I
If we close
appreciate
line,
that, they do that in the city, they do it under bridges, but we also have municipal vehicles that need to make their way down the street.
okay, all right,
And school buses.
It's good talk, but somebody's gonna rip her down, cause they ain't gonna pay
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah.
It's like going to the drive-through in a box van.
Twelve feet high anyways.
So,
Yeah,
so are you making a motion to install no through traffic signs on Welch and Stanley?
Yes,
so,
I
Do I have-
would actually
been-
make a second.
so, okay, so I second.
I usually don't make motions.
Yeah, I was like, are you asking me to say
Yeah.
so moved or?
Yeah, so there's a motion, a second, any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? Okay. 3-1, still passes, but thank you.
You'll be driving through there tomorrow.
You did 10 times today.
Okay,
I'll go
just,
Times you put the sign.
okay, just that last one, I would take a motion.
Do we have any other, we don't have any other business sign, okay, so I'll move to adjourn.
Motion,
Second.
second, discussion, seeing none, all those in favor.